You're listening to Two Chunks and a Hunk. Movie musings for mostly everyone. Welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week I'm your chunk.
I'm Doge, and let me guess. You want me to chunk your people go?
Nice.
I'm Carter, and you and your people hunk my permission to go.
Hey, Carter, you're the hunk. Talk about
Tell me.
it.
I'm honestly, dude, I'm sick of asking you about it.
We got
Just
a
tell
lovely
me.
channel on our Discord called Spurts, talking about sports. So NFL draft was last night for us here in this Friday
Heard
world
of
of
it.
recording this podcast.
I'm going to go ahead and take my headphones out. Let me know
that's
when you're
fine.
done talking about sports.
This won't be too long. I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan. Have been my whole life.
The Feagles, as people call them.
The Feagles. Contextually, like for the sake of this podcast too, we talk about how much we love stories, how much we love narrative. I'm realizing too, like narrative kind of drives the things that I'm interested in general, work, play, all that kind of stuff, what I do with my life, my career. So I've always loved villains, even before I could put it into words. Where I still grow up in Dallas, they hate the Eagles. And so I was like, cool, I'm going to do this. They're also an underdog. They've never won a Super Bowl. Obviously won a Super Bowl several years ago. Last night they had a draft. They drafted a guy that I like a lot, whose last name is Carter. Here's what happens now. I can buy a Philadelphia Eagles jersey with my name on it, without it being the price of personalization and the kind of like super fandom weirdness that's like, I'm going to put my name on the back. That's kind of a little bit bizarre. Like you have to be a spouse of that athlete or be that athlete to have it. And it's my first name, which is fun. Well, it's my middle name, but I get to have a Carter Eagles jersey now. And I just think that's pretty hunky. I think it's
pretty
neat.
hunky.
You know?
That is pretty
It would
hunky.
be like if Doge, it would be like if Hoobastank's new album was called Doge.
Yeah, my favorite band, Hoobastank. A lot of people say they're the villain of music, which is why I like them so much.
Oh.
I'm going to have the reason stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
Yep. Here's a fun thing about Beef, the show that I talked about yesterday in terms of what I'm streaming right now. It's that, like the credits, when the credits hit at the end, it's always playing music from that genre, that era, which is super fun. They play The Reason.
Do they really play The Reason?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, the moment it was like the word Hoobastank came out, and as you got to Bastank, I was already like, I just want you to know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Pretty good song.
It's a great song.
Oh, legit good.
Ooh, I don't know why they're called
legit
Hoobastank.
good.
They should be called Hooba Pretty Good.
Come on now.
Hooba smells good.
Hooba smells nice.
Hooba don't stank.
Hooba don't stank.
Hooba don't. Honestly, if you
that's a pretty
hear
good
nothing
karaoke
else from this
song, boys.
episode.
Yeah, that's a good karaoke song.
Also, we need a karaoke. I can't believe we've never karaoke together. We have.
We have. But we should do it again.
Here's what happened at the karaoke we were all at together. I was just pumped for when y'all were up there. I was like, it was really for us. It felt like to an extent.
Yeah. Get everybody else out of here. Yeah, no, that's very good. We should do karaoke soon. I love karaoke.
Yeah. Karaoke.
The other thing I love is talking about movies with my buddies.
Yes.
And the movie that we're going to talk about today is the first place winner of our Forgotten Animation vote.
Shot.
And this is what you guys voted as first place in this series, which is a movie known as The Prince of Egypt. And we're going to talk about it right now, starting a little different than normal with a synopsis from Doge.
Yeah. I figured I would try something this week and read a synopsis. So we'll see how it goes. If we want to keep it, it's not from Nick, actually. It's not from Nick, actually. So if you're only listening to this to hear Nick, you can fast forward.
Love you, Nick.
Nick doesn't have one for this. Nick, if you haven't seen this movie, It's pretty fun. You should watch it.
Pretty decent.
This week's IMDb synopsis is anonymous, which means it's sprung fully formed out of the Nile, ready to give wisdom and grain to the people of ancient Egypt. Egyptian Prince Moses learns of his identity as a Hebrew and his destiny to become the chosen deliverer of his people.
I mean, yeah.
Read the rest of the synopsis, though.
That's it, though. That's
Bring in
it,
the
though.
part
There's
about
a
how you
longer
discover
one.
that laughter is more powerful than screams.
There's a longer one written by Blazer346.
Blazer?
If you guys want that one, I could do it.
Nah, Blazer.
Blazer got a hand in there.
Nah.
Okay. All right. Blazer, you're dead to us.
Whoa.
I wasn't going to go that far. Look, I hadn't seen this movie since probably elementary school. It's been a long time. So I like to think that I went in with no preconceived notions, no baggage one way or the other. What was y'all's watch experience like? When was the last time you saw this?
I watched this. I didn't watch this as a kid. I watched this for the first time in probably 2018 or 19.
Really?
And this was my second time to see it. But I had listened to, this is like my millionth time to hear many of the songs. It's impossible. So like, I think, is it too early to super pump?
No.
Can I just do that? I don't think I can say this next sentence. My super pump is the opener, like the opening song, Deliver Us.
Song.
I think that is like one of the best. Like, I don't know. This might be the wildest thing anybody's ever heard. If this is stupid, just don't respond to it and we'll just move on to the rest of the podcast. You don't got to rake me over the coals for it. I think that opener is on par with like the opening of Les Mis in terms of just like what an incredible like scene setting, world building, like truly like epic scale opener.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's unbelievably good. It has no business being that incredible in this animated movie from the late 90s.
To me, in the non-Disneys, this is the champion that I do think, like, especially DreamWorks would choose to go up against the Lion Kings of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is equally as strong as Circle of Life, and I don't think there's anything else.
In terms of epic opening, that was a really...
Yeah. Now,
but I will say, though, I was 10 in 1998. So I was 9 or 10 years old when I saw this for the first time. I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
Which is it's a really good theater movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we've already talked about what happens around that time, we posit.
Yeah.
That when things like that happen in such an influential time of your life,
shifts your brain a little bit.
And so I was having deep nostalgia. I watched it many, many times, but it really was from like 10 to 12, right?
Yeah.
So I hadn't really seen this in a couple of decades.
That's cool.
To be honest. I don't know if I'd seen this in the 2000s. So
wow. Yeah.
That's
here
cool.
we are. Yeah.
On the subject of the music, I have a complicated thought about the music that I think might be a little unpopular, but I don't think it's that crazy. I think the opening song is unbelievable. I think that the song that Moses and Ramses sing when they're like superimposed over each other over a distance during the plagues.
Yeah.
I think that song is pretty good. That sequence is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think that, so the rest of the soundtrack is like a 10. The soundtrack is unbelievable.
Are you really about to say that there can be miracles if you believe the like ending song of this is not amazing?
No, I'm just saying that I think that this movie gets a reputation for its, we've talked about this before. I don't know how to delineate between like OST, like score and songs. So I'm just going to refer to them as the score and the songs as two different things.
Well, a lot of times when you're like trying to track down, you got people coming over, you want to put on the playlist of a movie that everybody has a lot of fun with, but you're like, oh, wait, there's dialogue in this one. There's sound, like there's always two. It feels like there's like the motion picture soundtrack and then there's like just the song. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I like the separation there.
I think the score is a 10. And I think that a couple of the songs are very, very good. I think that the rest of the songs are okay. And I think that they get propped up on the strength of the score and those banger songs.
I would say the only lyrical song that's not a 10 out of 10 for me.
Let's say it at the same time. This is my super dump.
Okay, really? It's for me. It's the first time Moses sings "This is my home. This was my home." I think I know what your super
Big
dump
Boys
is. I forget.
is so lazy.
Yeah, I forgot that was in the movie.
Big Boys is so lazy. What a stupid song in the middle of that's. I don't remember that because I was at 10. I have to super dump and pump together. The super pump is the visual scale of this movie.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to say it. The animation of this movie is sweeping. It's massive. It's gorgeous. It had to be in ancient Egypt, right? But the way that we're also choosing to do most of our 3D animations is super cool. It's epic. And it needed to be because stories in Exodus are epic.
Yeah, they're just sweeping.
Yeah, and so loved that. And when the soundtrack comes alongside, when it does feel like this, the soundtrack, I would say 10 out of 10 too in terms of the score. Sorry. So we'll say the score is one of those things.
Hans Zimmer, I believe.
Yeah, is one of those things that feel like it should get supporting actor, supporting actress nominations.
The score is a 10 for sure.
It's brilliant. So the scale overall and the animation is my super pump, but the super dump is in the midst of what's really cool, right? Which we know is like the magicians were trying to say, hey, our gods can do this too, right? And we have the wonderful thing that I remember being a kid being like, look at that, dude. God's snake is eating their snakes because it's better, and like, and the hallway and the magic, and it was distracting, and the magicians were getting me too. And then I'm like thinking, like, we had Steve Martin and Martin Short, who are actually singing, who are great singers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And who are
make them sing
both
that
musical
song?
artists. They have had stints and continue to in musical theater and drama. Steve Martin is one of the most talented people in the world.
Yep.
And we gave them, you're with the big boys now?
Yeah.
All we did was just spout off.
By the way, our only sort of like modern vernacular in this whole movie.
So
out of
stupid.
nowhere.
Yeah.
This was almost my super dump as well. This song sucks. This is what I'm talking about though. I'm telling you, people forget the bad songs exist in this movie, but there's two or three just stinkers.
I love Heaven's Eyes.
Yes.
You haven't brought that up yet. That is a bop. It is.
I think there's 1.5 stinkers. I think Big Boys is bad. I think the first time Moses sings "This is my home,"
boys now,
like when he finds out, when he has that like fever dream where he becomes a hieroglyphic or whatever, is not good. I think that whole sequence of the movie
the hieroglyphic
is pretty boring.
thing is dope though.
The look of the hieroglyphic thing is sick.
Almost my super dump was real shoddy Nintendo 64 style 3D pans across the like the actual look of the hieroglyphics is good, but the way we present it as like this, like it's happening on these 3D walls that we're panning around with all the processing power of a Dreamcast is tough for me.
No, it didn't hurt. That didn't bother me at all. That's interesting.
It doesn't look very good to me.
I don't like that song. I don't care for the song.
But that's the song that gets reprised. He sings another version of that with like once he's back in Egypt. And that version is actually good, which I think that leads into the duet with Ramses, right?
Yeah, it may. I also don't really care for the song. I don't love the song when he like first discovers the group of Hebrews that were out in the desert that he like links up with.
Yeah.
That song doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
Which is actually, so my super dump, not the song itself, but my super dump is the movie is epic and really, I don't mean epic like 2011, like epic. I mean like it is an epic story.
It's like an epic win of a movie, bro.
It's a total epic win. And the middle between leaving and really like when the plagues begin to start in earnest is so boring. It's so boring.
Which part's
It's a movie for kids and it's boring.
Yeah, totally.
Basically from when Moses runs away to when he begins the plagues with the staff in the water. Because I didn't like Big Boys now, so I'm including that in the boring part. Yeah, I was so bored, and it's such a long movie for an animated movie, and you could cut 20 minutes out.
It's an hour 40 and felt like 2.5 hours.
Agreed. Dude, the pacing in this movie is tough because even once
we're going to get it all out up front.
It's like The opening is too long, I think. So what I'm really super dumping is the pacing, but specifically that middle part. But like the beginning is too long. And then we get some interesting stuff when he goes out and like becomes Moses, you know what I mean? But that's boring too. And then the movie finally picks up the pace when he shows back up and turns the water into blood with the staff. Then, let me stop real quick. Burning bush scene is amazing. Like the way that they were able to draw like wonder in the eyes of a 2D character was so impressive.
And like the waves too that were happening was really cool.
It's incredible.
It's cool.
But
Great creative decisions.
My super dump is just overall the pacing of this movie kind of sucks. And I really think that I think this movie gets too much credit. And I'm not a hater. I like this movie, but I think it's ridiculous that it won first place here because the reason it's not talked about in the same sentence as Lion King is because it's not as good. That's really what it was. It is not as good of a movie as The Greats.
Yeah, DreamWorks we've already kind of talked a little bit how they lean a touch more realistic, right? I understand that the Sphinx is because Moses accidentally knocked off the nose is not the most realistic thing either. But
it's kind of funny though.
It's also not, you don't get like eyes coming out of your head. You don't get like, like falling down. You don't get like, can't believe you can stretch across that ravine so that you can walk on top of each other to avoid the crocodiles. Like,
hey, leave them alone.
Yeah. We already know that it's not. Prince of Egypt of all of the animated movies, right? Because Anastasia is also trying to be like historical fiction. But we've got a living dead villain, right? So it's like, and a bat that's absolutely goofy. So Prince of Egypt feels like the most realistic. Like this is like Ben-Hur-ish. It's like,
yeah, sure.
It did feel like Ben-Hur or like the Ten Commandments, honestly, if we're talking about Charlton Heston.
It feels weird calling Prince of Egypt a cartoon.
Yeah.
It literally is. But it's just like, this was the medium that feels like it's a lot easier and cheaper to just do this as an animated movie, which by the way, wasn't really cheap. But
I don't think the script would have changed if it was live action.
No way. Or the cast, hardly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, But that's what's so strange about it, is it doesn't feel like very much like an animated movie to me. It's a different experience.
It is.
And it needed,
Don't get me wrong, this movie is special and unique and really cool. My point is I think that it gets unnecessarily propped up in ways that it doesn't necessarily earn, and that the reputation that it has is probably more from childhood than current, just because I don't think...
So, I mean, other than The Lion King, like what would you put over this in terms of like animated, like up to that point? You know, if you're talking about, you said it gets mentioned in alongside The Greats in the same breath as The Lion King. What else are you thinking goes there that keeps this from going there?
Well, I guess it just depends on what the criteria is. Because if we're talking about like epic, sweeping animated movies, then it's really just this and The Lion King. There isn't much other competition. But if we're talking about all-time animated great movies, and that's the scale, I don't think this cracks top 10.
Fill out that list a little bit, though. I'm curious what your top 10 does, because it honestly might for me.
Sure, totally.
Just based on my preferences and taste, like in terms of that like sweeping epic scale, things like that.
But again, if we're talking sweeping epic scale, then there is no other competition. But if we're just topping...
I'm not saying that's the scale we're making. I'm saying that might be something that I'm judging if I'm picking my top 10 or 15.
I think for me, like almost all of the Disney greats are better than this. Like I think that things like The Lion King, Emperor's New Groove, Mulan...
I was going to say Mulan, in terms of Disney, feels the most like Prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
But you've got Mushu, right? And you've got this trio of soldiers that are wild.
Yep. Right.
But it is
if we're
very
including
much
them all in the same funnel, though, is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
So the in that sense, like Mushu and stuff like that is not a disqualifier for me.
Yeah.
In that list.
No, I'm not saying it's a disqualifier. I'm just saying
it does have
in
that
terms of like epic, Mulan is probably the most epic of that Disney Dozen series.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
But I would even put
didn't surprise me they made it live action in that first sweep of live action movies.
Totally.
Because it's like a war epic.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I would put, for my personal taste, things like, I would put a Goofy movie ahead of this as far as like a movie that I am interested in watching, I would put, if we're only talking 2D animation.
Do you like a Goofy movie?
A little. I'm actually wearing
You just never bring it up.
Powerline shirt right now.
You're wearing a Powerline shirt.
But yeah, and my intention, I'm not trying to dunk on this movie at all. More just say that I think I went in and hit play expecting to be Lion King blown away, because I haven't watched this. I was probably 9 the last time I watched this. Yeah. I was expecting and waiting to be Lion King blown away. I hadn't listened to the soundtrack since I was a kid either, so I was waiting for these catchy songs that were going to stick with me, and that's just not what this is.
That's what it is. You said the formula right there. It's the biggest difference, not even the rotoscope difference of like Anastasia, because Disney did that too. But 5 decades before Anastasia did it. But it was like, it's the music. Like there's something about how many hits we had on the Disney side. When you're walking through Magic Kingdom, which is the most Disney of the Disney parks, the main experience is they're just cranking Disney music the whole time.
Just flexing on you the whole time. It's
constant. And the parades, and they're like, oh, that's right. Ours comes
that's
in
us
volumes.
too, idiot. Yep.
Yeah. You know, it's like, oh, no, that's us.
I just think I'm going to, in 6 months, if you say sing a song from Anastasia, I could sing you Once Upon a December like that. But in 6 months, if you said sing one of the songs from The Prince of Egypt, the only one I'm going to remember is Big Boys, which sucks.
That's wild to me, because that last song is so good. Yeah, I've got 4 that I could easily pull.
And I like the 4. They're just not sticking with me the same way, you know?
Yeah,
they're not sticky to me.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Now the soundtrack,
Deliver Us feel same vibe, Doge.
Big time.
Yeah,
big time.
That
was a great call. So the score is a different conversation. The score is perfect.
Wonderful.
It's Hans Zimmer, as is The Lion King.
Well, there you go.
And I believe this is back when he was doing them himself rather than his like, because he. I mean, this hopefully isn't news.
Get his minions.
Hans doesn't write. He doesn't write them all.
Yeah.
That have his name on them.
Hans Zimmer is a Shakespeare-style nom de plume at this point.
Well, it's like Renaissance composers did the same thing, where it's just like, I've got a bunch of understudies who are learning from me, but once they finish it, I'm going to punch it up so that it's a Hans Zimmer piece.
Yep.
Yeah. I cannot believe that this same studio was trying to get the magic of, we talk about like, I know, Jordan, you probably feel like you're having to have a few disclaimers of being like, I actually like this movie though, even though I'm pooping on it.
I don't want it to sound like I don't like this movie.
Here's how you can tell. I'll bring us back here. Of the obvious difference. Like Road to El Dorado was trying to do this after. Did you see all of the beats that they were trying to do? Like massive thing that falls, cause big wave, ride wave. It's just not, what a bummer Road to El Dorado is. Trying to do this, they shouldn't even be in the same conversation.
Agreed.
But they're the same studio that was kind of trying to do the same thing. It's like, we're friends now, but now we're not friends because we have conflicting ideals. Yeah. You know, I'm going to have to go this way, you're going to have to go that way.
Kind of miss this DreamWorks, because I feel like they did this stuff and then Road to El Dorado bombed, and then they're like, we're going to focus hard on Shrek. And then it was like, oh, the only thing people like is fart jokes. So let's just do fart jokes as a movie for like a long time.
I wish they had had. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, and then How to Train Your Dragon was a breath of fresh air, but I don't know that they're going to, I think they're kind of back. Well, I don't know. I've heard that the new Puss in Boots is really good.
Yeah.
I've heard that that's super, super good.
I might watch that this weekend, actually. That sounds pretty
best animated feature, I bet. But yeah. I don't know. I kind of missed that. I kind of missed that, like I don't know. That would have been interesting to have a little more earnestness. Yeah. Through like the early 2000s, we would have probably would have not gotten things like Over the Hedge and Escape from Planet 51 and Monsters vs. Aliens. But I don't know anybody who's like would miss those. The
thing with Shrek, which is always worth the conversation when DreamWorks is brought up, the thing with Shrek is that Shrek does have the earnestness in it.
It does have that earnestness. Yeah.
Like Shrek at no point feels like a cash grab. Even the second Shrek doesn't. It feels like a good movie. And it's because they're good movies.
Right.
But I just think that somewhere along the way, somebody at DreamWorks saw dollar signs and went that way.
Have you seen the screenshot of somebody who's made the Letterboxd list? And it's like movies where a guy goes to his white girlfriend's house and her white parents try to like scheme to have him replaced by a white guy. And it's in the list, it's Get Out and Shrek 2.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they had a 4-year, because this movie made so much money.
Yeah.
Prince of Egypt made a lot of money. It made like 3 times the amount that it cost to produce, which was a lot of money.
Yeah.
You got to imagine a lot of that is like synagogue groups and church groups, though.
Sure.
Right?
Why didn't we? I wish we could have just done 3 or 4 years of the Old Testament with DreamWorks. I think that could have been
fun. They did the Joseph one with Ben Affleck.
Straight to video, though, right? I don't even think that got to theater screens because the budget was out. They wanted to invest in El Dorado and do a bunch of different stuff. And so it's weird because we also had Mark Hamill in the Joseph movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. They had and they lost it. That's the Warner Brothers thing. That's like they do it well and then they just get so distracted. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know how these offices run. I'm sure it's a massive amount of projects that are greenlit and not. But somebody who's been in whatever role it is to whisper in the ear and just be like, no, this one, that is such an important role.
Agreed.
Doing it wrong in some of these studios.
Agreed. Well, and so we're about to head to shout announcements. I do just want to say, as I'm thinking through what my list would be, I think this probably ends up in top 10 by default, just because I don't know that there's 10 movies better than this.
I mean, if you bring in like I don't know, it's tough to like compare this against like Inside Out or like Finding the...
If 3D animation is part of this, then
it's part of it. This doesn't crack the top 10 at all. But yeah, I mean, I think like if I'm building the 10 of like 2D animated, like I think this and the Iron Giant are probably the non-Disney ones that are in there.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
But I think they're in there.
I think you're right. Because even, like I said, by default, I don't know that there's 10 animated 2D movies better than this that I could even put up ahead of it, you know? Even if taste factors in, which of course it does.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
And you can't put a Goofy movie 9 times.
I could try. but like, for instance, Extremely Goofy movie wouldn't even crack my top 10. It's nowhere near as good as the first Goofy movie. So there's things like preference that come in. I just don't want it to sound like I hate this movie. I really like this movie. I just think that it often gets sold at a much higher price than it's worth in my mind. But let's head to...
Do you think it should have... I mean, we're doing Spring Delirium right now, so we're used to kind of litigating and policing the things that our listeners vote on.
Sure.
Do you think this deserved the top spot, or would you have given that to Iron Giant?
No, I think this deserves the top spot.
It definitely deserves to be in the 4 that we discuss. I don't know that I would put it in the top spot.
Over Iron Giant.
And nobody is doing a top spot either, right? They're voting for 4.
Right. Yeah.
It's just which one had the most votes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. That's fair.
Yeah. I think this is just taste at this point more than anything. I think Iron Giant's better than this. I think I would have rather probably done like... Well, I mean, if we're talking rather, then let's kick Road to El Dorado out for something else. We could do.
Let's get Land Before
Brave
Time back
Toaster,
in here.
Land Before Time, something like that. But yeah, no, it definitely
Let's
deserves
We're Back, a Dinosaur Story in here.
It definitely deserves
Scared
to be in
the crap out of me as a kid. Those crows scared me so bad in that movie.
Oh,
and just seeing all the children distraught in those little bubbles that he was watching everything happen.
Oh my gosh, that scared me so bad as a kid, dude.
I don't remember anything about this movie.
Really?
Let's go to shout announcements.
It's weird.
Because I do remember things about shout announcements. Shout announcements. Listen to me.
We're live here in Shout Announcements with noted Prince of Egypt hater Jordan Wonders. Jordan, how you doing today?
Doing well. Next week, we're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's going to be the best movie ever, probably.
Best Marvel movie since The Dark Knight.
My hopes are all over the place for this one, so tune in.
Yeah, legit have seen the pull quote, best Marvel movie since Endgame on a couple of different things about that.
If you want to express your stress or how you feel directly to us, come on over into Discord, that $5 tier of Patreon. We have the $3 tier with the bonus episodes. Do be on the lookout for the...
And you get a...
D and Dragons, Dungeons and D movie. We'll be having a review on that.
You also get a bonus vote in the Spring Delirium Finals, which is happening right now. You have a couple of days left to use that bonus vote to either vote for Scooby-Doo or Miss Frizzle as the best cartoon character of all time.
I hate to see them against each other because I really think they would vibe.
They would be best friends. Actually, Scooby would
really
be
fun.
scared out of his tiny dog mind of the Magic School Bus.
To go on her adventures.
If we do the What's New Scooby-Doo theme song performed by Simple Plan,
Scooby-Doo? Yeah.
then they have the two best theme songs probably.
That's actually very true. Gosh, I forgot about that song. That song rips.
Gonna solve that mystery. Yeah, dude. It's a good time.
I have for years wanted to find a way to ask Alan Stone to please cover the Magic School Bus theme song. Like slow jam the Magic School Bus theme song for me, please.
Goodness.
So good. It would be
Right?
so good.
Doesn't he feel like a good fit for
100%.
that?
Consummation Station.
Did you see him with us or no? I don't think you did.
No, I didn't.
He does voices when he sings live. Like he's constantly dropping down into weird registers to be funny. I don't know. I think you would kill it. Anyway.
He'd be a good fit for that. Alan, we know you listen. Please cover that.
Alan, please listen. Please.
Alan, please.
Back to the show.
So, how does it feel when you play Roll Up to Win with Tim Hortons? Buy a hot or cold beverage using the Tim's app and find out. Roll in the app for a chance to win prizes ranging from free coffee and donuts to a Universal Orlando resort vacation or a sweet car. Oh, don't forget the TV. And this year, every roll is a shot at a $1,000 daily giveaway drawing for two $500 prizes. Roll up to win and get treated by Tim's. No purchase necessary. Account registration required. 50 U.S. and D.C. 18 plus entered by 4/2/23. See rules at rolluptowin.com for free entry and full details. Void in Florida and where prohibited.
All right, I've got my list. I've got my 10.
Okay.
Oh.
10 movies that I think Prince of Egypt might sneak up into 10 here.
Yeah.
But it's like Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Mulan, Little
Good
Mermaid,
stuff.
Hercules, Tarzan, Emperor's New Groove, Goofy movie. I love Alice in Wonderland. Big time love. It's a really kooky one, but I enjoy that entire experience. Probably has more nostalgia for me than Prince of Egypt. But Prince of Egypt is maybe the same. They're at 10, but it does just get there.
Yeah, that's valid. Man, Hercules. Whew.
Crazy Iron Giant's not in there, huh?
What a movie, Hercules.
It's big sad. Neither is Fox and the Hound in there. I ain't trying to.
Iron Giant has at least a good. Iron Giant is a good kind of big sad. Fox and the Hound's big sad is sometimes people are too different to be friends with each other.
Yeah.
That sucks. That's pretty tough.
Well, sometimes people don't know how to use guns, dude. It's all
That's
sad.
totally different. It's totally different. Can I super dump?
Yeah.
It's totally different.
My super dump is also the pacing, but I didn't say it earlier because I didn't want to have nothing to talk about in this part of our podcast.
We got plenty to talk about.
It's because to me the pacing, like I think they should have restructured the movie a lot because the inciting incident really is the burning bush, which is over halfway through this movie.
Yep.
That's what starts us. That's what should start our story, and then I think we can tell the rest through flashbacks or infer why is Moses so nervous to go see Pharaoh? Oh, it's because it's basically his brother. Mm-hmm. But then we don't start with Deliver Us, or we could start with that and then do a hard cut to the title, and then we pick back up with adult bearded Moses in the desert as a shepherd.
I don't think we need a raucous buddy comedy to start this movie.
Yeah, I just think, man, there's we could include a lot of the same ingredients, but put them in a different order.
I like seeing that they were likely close.
Right.
But
and I don't think
too long. Yeah.
I don't think I would eliminate that. I think I would just tell that through flashbacks, and we can infer that we can tell that through dialogue, tell that through flashbacks, but really having the burning bush moment, which is okay, this is what our movie's about to be about, happen over halfway through the movie is what makes the middle feel so long to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally agreed.
Which I get that it's just following the actual story, right? But it doesn't really conform to a traditional Western story structure of something that's fun and entertaining to watch. So I think we probably should have shuffled some stuff around.
Agreed. Something I really appreciate is that when confronted with, hey, do you care about slaves because they're people, or do you care because you just found out that you're one of us? I appreciate that question's in the movie, and I appreciate that Moses, the character, does not dodge that question and instead is you are right.
Yep.
You are right. And that is bad.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
bad.
pretty heady for a kid's movie. This is pretty dark for a kid's movie too.
Extremely dark for a kid's movie.
Which leads me to my super pump, which is all acts of God look amazing in this
they're
movie.
very cool.
Very creative too.
If I'm going to zero in on one, it is the taking of the firstborns.
The Passover stuff.
It's horrific.
Haunting.
It is dead silence except for the sound of like the screaming presence of God sweeping through the city and the sound of
kids dying.
How they chose to just have their last breath. Just the
Yep. And then they're just gone.
all of them.
Woof. So
Crazy.
crazy.
That's the kind of thing, like, I can't believe that is in this movie. You know what I mean? Like,
know.
How tough of a sell was that for DreamWorks to be like, nope, this is how it has to be. If this was released today, I don't think it's getting a PG rating.
I agree.
I think it's getting a PG-13 rating.
I agree. It's a lot of kid
because
death.
of that. Yeah.
But I also think that the parting of the sea, all the plagues, the burning bush, anything that has to do with like big acts of God, looks, feels, soundtrack, the choice to have no music during the taking of the firstborns is an unbelievably cool choice. The soundtrack while the sea is parting and they're walking through, and the visuals.
That was 2 years of animation.
I'm sure it was, dude. The lightning showing the whales and stuff, terrifying.
Yeah.
So sick.
Yeah. There was like it's so interesting to do a realism to something that, you know, it's like for us, that's not historical fiction, but it can't help but feel like it.
Sure.
From the outside looking in, it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like, it's up there with like Camelot and the, you know, Magic Sword and things like that. But it's like the way that they showed the force of, here's what happens when two massive tsunamis type waves meet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the way that it's just gushing right back up. Like that whole scene was intimidating. In theaters, that was special.
Yeah.
But 10 years
I'm
old
sure.
and seeing that be parted or whatever was completely wild. I don't want to just like, Disney is also very dark. I get what we're saying here. The context of multiple children dying. That sucks. I saw a kid watch his dad get trampled to death.
He's a lion. I think it's something different when it's human.
I agree. Especially when it's an entire
big
city
tentacle
of
lady
screaming.
Big tentacle lady's just trying to kill people.
She's a
gored
monster.
in the stomach.
She's a monster. I think it's different when it's humans.
When they realize their kids are dead across the city is grim.
Awful. I saw Hunter Man get hung, like hang himself by accident.
That's pretty dark.
That's pretty grim. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of kids'
I loved
movies
it.
are
So I
dark.
thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious.
I was laughing during the Passover
I'm not
scene.
trying to say you should laugh. We need to make sure that with what we're measuring it against, those things do still exist. We saw an entire battlefield of dead bodies in Mulan.
I think it's so different when it's human children, though. I just think that is so different.
You heard it here first. Carter doesn't mind.
I'm not saying one is not worse than the other. I'm just saying it did exist somewhere.
Carter is equivalently
we don't run to Disney,
sad.
so we don't have to feel big feels and be distraught and sad.
Right.
Okay. That's all.
Nobody's on the other side of this, Carter.
I got to make sure that we're just making sure everybody's included in here. If
get in here, DreamWorks. DreamWorks.
I do know that about you.
DreamWorks, nobody's mad at you.
I don't know why we're so surprised. I went on a tangent about talking about other people's feelings about things.
I'm sure Simba was probably really sad when Mufasa died.
Can I tell you that it's not a super pump because I think it's going to get its own Mount Rushmore type flavor of a special thing that I never knew existed until I watched it again. Ralph Fiennes did my favorite thing he ever does way before he was Voldemort.
Yes.
He did his...
He did
his thing.
Yep.
So many times in this.
Yeah.
Which makes me think maybe
that's just how he yells.
Of hearing him do that in Harry Potter when I was an adult, maybe at that point, it resonated a bit with past trauma. And that's it. That's the connector.
Yep. Do you think Ralph Fiennes gets cut off in traffic and is alone in his car? It's just
he bit into something that he clearly said no mustard. He's like, like just so mad. Oh man! Every kickoff of his favorite team, the inaugural start of the game, that it starts with an M sound is amazing to me.
It's so good. There's a woman in the background of one of the scenes. I think it's the turning the river into blood that makes the most absurd faces I've ever seen in an animated movie. Like she's literally just like.
the way we animate our nonverbals is great, especially for Moses.
Yep. Yeah.
I think so. Let's talk about unbelievable. This is something that definitely went under the rug for me, and I didn't notice as a kid. I'm not really caring about who the voice actors are yet, but my goodness gracious,
this cast, dude.
This cast, Patrick Stewart and Helen Mirren were great. Helen doesn't really sound like herself. It's so funny when we have these actors and actresses that are picked because they sound like that, or they're picked because they're dynamic. Vin Diesel was the Iron Giant because it needed to sound like Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart's character in this movie needed to sound like Patrick Stewart. But like Helen Mirren, Michelle Pfeiffer, they're kind of doing their own thing. Val Kilmer was great. What a great canvas of a person.
Why spend the money
be the protagonist
on Sandra Bullock and Jeff Goldblum? Obviously, I'm stoked they're here, but
Hardly
they barely
any roles
are in this movie.
Jeff Goldblum did good. I don't think Sandra Bullock did good.
You just hate all women voice actors, is what I've learned.
Yeah,
she's
me.
maybe bottom half, but
she's
going against amazing. Danny Glover was phenomenal.
It was great. Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah,
he was perfect. It was such a fun collection of voice acting. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's fun for stuff like that to see. Like, they're clearly going for star power, but it's fun to see like late 90s star power, like who that was. You know what I mean? Because if
there's only a handful of those we hold on to. Pfeiffer's not coming back. Bullock's not coming back. Stewart, probably.
Yeah, still.
Goldblum, yes, just because it's recognizable.
Yeah.
And then Steve Martin and Martin Short, which we've already mentioned.
But if I found out that Danny Glover was a voice in like an upcoming Pixar movie, I'd be like, what a weird choice. Does that make me more excited? But people finding out Danny Glover in late 90s are like, oh my gosh, Lethal Weapon, we got him.
If you were to, like, some people's voices are used that almost like the manifestation of a quality. It's like, Morgan Freeman assumed reverence or wisdom. Yes. Same with like Danny Glover or Patrick Stewart, power, right?
Yeah.
What do you think your voice is being associated with? If it's going to be like a great example of this is Inside Out. Amy Poehler, joy. Lewis Black, anger.
Yeah.
Mindy Kaling, disgust. She's made for it. What do you think you are? Then they get Bill Hader just because he's just good at voice acting. Fear fits him pretty well.
I think probably my voice would be used for unwarranted enthusiasm over something that almost nobody else really cares about, but
dude, you give really good, and this is a compliment because these are some of my favorite recurring characters. You're really good henchman minion vibe to me. Like Pain and Panic. Like you're really good that.
Like Banana, dude?
Not
like
banana.
Like Banana?
I hate that they've taken just a normal word from us.
Like how you say banana and it's so funny.
I say minion. The other thing I say every day is the scientific cinema scale, which is right now. And
we don't get to say what our voices are.
So selfish, dude.
Oh, I thought it was more of like a silly goof 'em up. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
That's a real banana move.
Usually our goof 'em ups are a 3-beat if it's about us.
Well, I thought maybe one of you would have just gone ahead and done it, but
I was trying to, but you started the podcast.
You're such a good host.
Mine's unfortunately probably going to be pessimism.
No, no, not you.
He laughs because it fits.
Actually, don't get excited about that.
It's pretty dumb to be excited about that thing because of this.
My gosh.
I'm not excited about it, and trust me, you don't even want me to tell you why.
I'm either it's because it's B movie 2 for some reason and they can't shell it out for Seinfeld, or I don't know. Oh, now we're asking the 9 to talk about himself. That's weird. I'm gonna say
go.
I could see myself being like aloof, warm hippie vibe, like love thing. Using my voice for that.
Yeah, like a real can't we all just get along type guy.
Yeah.
I've always said that you're like a warm hippie.
Like a warm hippie, dude.
People meet me on the street. They're like, "What's Carter like?" I hear you guys on the podcast all the time. What's Carter like? He's a warm hippie.
Surgery. Yeah.
Very good. Everybody
feels that. I guess we shouldn't have. You were right the whole time, Jordan. We should have just gotten past it.
Yeah, I guess the podcast would be better if only you got to talk. Let's do the scale.
Been saying it for about 6 years now. We're going to do a scientific cinema scale, which is perfect. And as follows, the best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't lend it, buy that poster, please. The next best thing is buy it. That's followed by rent it and then stream it. After that is forget it. And last but certainly least,
it's never been more appropriate.
The worst thing we could ever say about a movie. God hath forsaken us.
God turned my LaCroix into blood.
You know what? Got to tell you, man, the Hebrews were at the lower part of the scale at the beginning of this movie. I'll tell you that much. God has forsaken us, they were saying. There is not enough here in the magic of 1998 and the realism of 2023 with my new critic eyes, mid-30s eyes. There's not enough here to keep it off the wall. I do buy the poster still for Prince of Egypt. I think it is unique in ways that maybe don't always necessarily fit the medium of animation. Animation was perfect to show the power of God in the sense of this story in Exodus. It's also like, if you're going to show kids many peers dying at once, that's tough. But overall, score, music, voice acting, all the things that need to hit for a good movie do for Prince of Egypt. So I buy the poster there.
Fair enough.
I'm going to buy it because the middle's so boring. If the middle wasn't boring, if we had a Hakuna Matata style middle in this, I think I'd buy the poster.
You've got your toasted buttered brioche bun, but you're not really liking the proteins in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly.
You like the middle.
It's like some artisan bread and then some store brand deli meat. It's like, come on, we could have done something a little better in the middle.
Go here.
Sure.
Why'd we do that?
I'm renting Prince of Egypt. It's
because you hate it, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's clear.
The back half.
I love when we're three different places.
The back half of this movie is an excellent movie. The front half of this movie is a pretty boring movie with a couple good songs. And I think that the strengths are very strong and the weaknesses make it not super rewatchable for me. So
Big Boys is so silly.
it's bad. It's a tough one.
I wish we'd saved Steve Martin and Martin Short to play Tulio and whatever his name is.
Oh, for sure.
No.
In the next one, in El Dorado.
No.
Make it a better movie.
Make it way better.
Yeah. It's a good call.
Yeah, but then then they could so what if it was in El Dorado and then like Chell also was with them and there was like a murder basically in their like apartment complex and they just
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Selena Gomez as Chell.
And then what if the second season was just the first season, but again?
But a little worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit worse.
Doesn't matter. Still down. I love that feel. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I love the
Sure. Don't forget to
the
tune in
Malvika
next week as we discuss Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Everybody
We almost had every other week we're having Vin. Are we not?
Almost.
Dang.
Yeah. A lot of new releases coming your way this summer.
With Vin, specifically.
Vin Diesel. And we did
With
Iron
Vin.
Giant already. That's what I'm saying.
With Vin. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well,
We should have put our thumb on the scale and flipped it so we could have 3 weeks of Vin.
Well, we'll always have Vin.
oh well. We'll always have Vin.
We'll always have. No matter what else happens to us,
There's
always
stuff out there
have
we've
Vin.
missed. We can do a Chronicles of Riddick, Triple X, Saving Private Ryan series. Like, we can get it all.
But only Vin Diesel scenes in Saving Private Ryan.
That'll
I don't
be a
want to watch
quest.
the movie.
We'll have a quest series to find all the Vin.
To end today's episode, I'd
Venn
like for each of
diagram.
us.
Sorry.
No. Ooh, Venn diagram is powerful.
That's so good.
We're such name boys. There have been entire months of our lives dedicated to something because we thought a name was so clever.
Shiver Me
going.
Septembers is my favorite one.
Same.
Amazing.
To end today's episode, I'd like for each of us to say our name and what plague we would cast on people that deserved it.
Like one of these plagues, or am I doing a DIY build my own?
DIY.
Cool.
DIY.
That's great. Because I don't know anybody that would be like, frogs for you.
For 2 Chunks and a Hunk, my name is Jordan Wonders. People that don't use blinkers, particularly when merging or changing lanes on a highway, wet socks.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Perpetually damp socks
Ew.
upon them and their house.
A socks on you. I'm Doge. And when you walk a dog, sometimes dog will say, this is the time for me to make a poopy.
A poopy.
And a poopy.
That's poopy.
It's poopy, coach. And sometimes people will not pick up that poopy. And so if you don't pick up your dog's poopy while you're on a walk with it, congratulations. That's now on the bottom of your shoe and you can't ever get it off.
Ooh, nice.
Yuck. I'm Carter. And if you ever will say, make fun of someone or perhaps something that they're going through without fully understanding it, right? Without asking the questions first. We'll be like, how does that bother you? Does that really bother you? If you just choose not to believe that it bothers them, then mouth noises will bother you as much as they bother me for the rest of your life. You will feel it and you will keep it. So it's asking for consistent assessment, self-assessment, awareness of, okay, I'm about to go in right here. It feels funny, but tell me why you're still afraid of the dark. Let's unpack that.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
It's like, okay, what are you, 8? Would you please close your mouth? You know, like it happens immediately.
Yeah, sure.
Guys, I feel like the worst person. I had to tell myself, internal monologue, listen, man, they have to breathe. They can't help that they breathe like this.
Sure.
What?
Yeah.
I've become a different person. I just didn't like how they were breathing too loud.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Well, they don't deserve.
Well, I mean, you are
a jerk.
Breath.
You are a bad person, though. Like, right? Like,
It was somebody.
We know that.
We were in a meeting and somebody was zooming into the meeting and I wanted to tell them to mute their mic because they were breathing.
It's pretty bad.
That's tough.
That's
bad.
tough. That's tough.
I'll be putting I'm going to find me a lamb that's going to be an unlucky one here pretty soon because I need to be protected.